And welcome to 101 ESPN. It is the Hit Squad. Chad Range alongside Jesse Finney, and a fantastic show we got lined up for you. Good things going on. We'll be talking to Scott Coker. We're going to be running down the Uprising, the 15th anniversary of Shamrock Pro MMA here in St. Louis. All those fights are in, and it was a doozy of a night there. I do want to talk about fighting of a different kind, though, real quickly. Boy, I tell you what, we want to hear what you have to say. HitSquad@101sports.com is our email. Twitter handle is @HitSquad101ESPN. And the fighting I'm talking about is something that everyone in St. Louis is into, because it's the Cardinals fighting for the NL Central. How about those Cardinals?
Fighting the NL Central against the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Right now they're tied.
Best record in baseball, and we're fighting the Pirates to come in.
I tell you, yeah, and I tell you
we all do like fighting, so yeah.
That is good stuff. And the Cardinals, I mean, if you take the top three teams out of that division, they're leading, I think, all but one other division. The Reds, I think, have they would be number one team in any other division if they were in it. That's unbelievable.
Well, the Cardinals are coming out strong. I tell you, it throws me for a loop that, you know, the Pittsburgh Pirates are this close to it and this long in the season. All-Star break's coming up, and you got the Pirates tied with us for the best record in baseball.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. That is unbelievable. But I also want to talk about Yachty. What a stud.
What a
Gotten
stud.
357.
I asked this question the other day, and you're totally throwing me off here because I
came out of nowhere. I did. We're normally a fight show, but man, I'm happy with those Redbirds.
I've asked you this before. Who's the best catcher that you've ever seen play? I'm talking overall catcher.
Oh, that's tough because there's so many good hitting catchers like Mike Piazza. He was good, but defensively he probably...
Who would you take, Piazza or would you take Yachty?
I'd take, yeah, of course.
I would take Yachty.
The only person who, and I don't think he's quite as good defensively, but it's just, and he's younger, is Buster Posey out there right now.
I'd still take Yachty.
I mean, Yachty is tearing it up, but he's got to win an MVP.
Let's talk some fighting.
Let's talk some fighting. We will. I just had to get that out there, boy. That was best baseball fight. Diamondbacks versus the Dodgers, or the Reds and Cardinals.
Reds and Cardinals.
Absolutely. That's good stuff. Well, I did not look good in the last pay-per-view picks. I had a rough go. Did not get one of them right.
Hey, welcome to mixed martial arts. I mean, that happens. I mean, that really does. And at the same time, I mean, that just tells you, you know, where MMA is. It's not like
it's
where
a
boxing is right now. Is a lot of times you can pick in boxing. You can pick who's going to win. Most of the time, except for the main events, and then all of a sudden, you know, we got 5 fights that go crazy like this, and you go, was it 0 for 5?
I think 0 for 5. Yeah. That was a rough.
Yachty's never went 0 for 5. I'm just
kidding. We picked the free on Fox and the pay-per-view, and boy, it was a rough night. I went with. We're going to start at the bottom. I went with Patrick Berry, and I'll tell you right now on ESPN.com, I got from, I believe it's Josh Gross. He does the fighting. He rated the two guys that I picked. Patrick Berry, straight F. Just a failure. He was TKO within a minute in the first round by Sean Jordan. Is this the end of the road for Patrick Berry?
It probably could be, and I hope it doesn't, because they've given him such fun matchups, but I sure hope that it's not the end of the road for him. But man, I mean, at the end of the day, you're only going to last so long being one style in the UFC. You can go out and you can fight on a regional circuit, you can fight in the AAA, but to go out and fight in the major leagues in the UFC, you've got to have the whole game, and Patrick really needs to work on his whole game.
He's a kickboxer. I mean,
he's a kickboxer. He's always exciting to watch. I love to watch him fight, but at the same time, if he gives him some good wrestlers or some guys like this that are going to take him down, you know, it's going to be a long night for him. For a long time. And you know what? Hey, man, the UFC is about putting contenders in there. And Patrick Berry is not going to be a contender in the heavyweight division.
No, like I said, he was graded an F for his showing there on ESPN.com. So that happened. Sean Jordan defeats Patrick Berry TKO round 1, just under a minute, 59 seconds into that one. And boy, then I was wrong. Davis and Rosie Sexton. Unanimous decision goes to Davis. I mean, I thought Rosie Sexton with a name like that would be good with the ground and pound. No such luck. I go 0-2.
It's a good fight, though. I mean, the girls, once again, provide a good show. I mean, the girls are always putting it all out there for you. I mean, if you look at this, you go 29-28 across the board for the girls.
Yeah.
I mean, you go 2-1, two rounds for Davis to 1. So, I mean, it was still a good fight, and the girls continue to produce, man. I mean, the girls, I don't think they deserve to be on the main card.
I was going to talk about that.
But at the same time, I mean, at the same time, they still go out and put a good fight on.
And most likely, if the girls weren't on that main card, we're kind of shifting gears here, it might have been Tyron Woodley, who took on Jake Shields. He lost via split decision. Have you talked to Tyron?
I have talked to Tyron.
What kind of spirits was he in?
He's obviously not in the best of spirits,
Right.
but I mean, at the same time, I mean, that was Tyron just couldn't pull the trigger. I mean, and you know
fight?
what? I've got to play, the media guy here and not just a friend.
Right.
Tyron couldn't pull the trigger. Tyron is a more skilled fighter. He's got a bigger upside, but at the same time, I would not have wanted to be a judge.
in that
And I mean that in all 3 rounds. But I personally had it 2 rounds to 1 for Tyron. But at the same time, he lost the fight, and it really knocks him back down. And as much as I hate to say that, it really does. Because someone like Jake Shields, the UFC, I feel probably wanted Tyron to win because he's a more exciting fighter. And Jake is he's boring, man. I mean, he's a guy that talks about surfing. Surfing. I mean, surfing on top of people and floating and just winning fights like that. It was a pretty rough fight, but I actually had the fight going for Tyron 2-1.
The judges saw it 27-30, 29-28, and 29-28. It was a split decision loss, but we have not heard the last from Mr. Woodley.
No, we have not.
Yes, he's probably back in the gym, gearing up, and
he is back in the gym. He's back in the gym, and at the same time, he's got a bright future. And let's hope he continues to keep pushing forward.
someone who doesn't have a bright future in the UFC is quite possibly Roy Nelson. I was on the bandwagon. I was all about Big Country, but like I said, Patrick Berry got an F according to the website on ESPN. D- for Roy Nelson.
And that really doesn't happen either. I mean, at the same time, it really kind of blows my mind a little bit. But I say that, I don't know if everyone knows the whole backstory on this, but Roy Nelson, they tried to give him a contract before a contract extension.
All right.
Okay. And they gave him the contract extension, and he says, "No, I don't want the contract extension. If I win, I'm going to actually gain more money." And they basically said, "Yeah, you're going to get more money if you win this fight, but here's a contract for you right now."
He didn't take it.
He didn't take it.
And I bet he's kicking himself
I bet he's kicking himself. Now, not necessarily, because I do think that Bellator is going to make a big push for him.
Yeah.
He's a big name. He's always an exciting fighter. And I know Roy hates to be in the UFC. He's one of those guys, he just does not like Dana. He doesn't like the way they do things. But at the same time, it's the biggest organization in the world. But he signed a contract when he was in the Ultimate Fighter. And the Ultimate Fighter contract was not real favorable to him because he's became a superstar and he wasn't making very much money. Now, there's a lot of things that people don't know when it comes to this, is that they're getting a lot of bonuses on the backside. Instead of saying, Nate Diaz is making 16 and 16, they're getting a lot of bonuses as well.
Stipe. Boy, what a great move for him. I tell you what, looked good in that fight. Yeah,
he's good wrestler, good striker. I mean, he really is. I mean, everyone's knocking Roy Nelson. Give Stipe some credit.
Yeah, that's a great point. It does. You have to go in there and win that fight, and Stipe did.
Absolutely.
So that's what it came down to. And then, of course, Evans versus Dan Henderson. This was my final swing and a miss for me. Went with Dan Henderson. You saw something maybe I didn't. The Machida fight, it was tough to gauge anything even, but it went Evans' way via split decision.
I disagree with you. I didn't see anything.
You didn't see anything? Okay.
And picking that fight, no, I didn't, because it was such a close fight. And I still say this, and I won, and I'm still telling you this. It was a 50-50 fight. It was one of those, if Dan's going to connect with the right hand, Dan's going to knock him out. But I will say, this was a huge, huge fight. I look possibly Dan to maybe one more fight.
I
know you're going to ask me that.
Yep.
One more fight, and then if he loses, he's probably done. And it will not surprise me if right now, if Dan says, I'm done. So, it's an interesting time. Dan wants to be a world champion. He doesn't want to fight just to fight. He wants to be a world champion. Big win for Rashad Evans. Puts him back on the map. But, it was a good fight. At the end of the day, this was one of those fights.
Is Rashad a contender?
He can be.
He can be? You think he's that?
I think he can be. I really do think he can be, because he's an incredible athlete. That's an exciting guy when he wants to be. But I think that Rashad has got to get some real coaches in his face and push him. I think Rashad wants to be his own coach. Rashad needs to go and focus on
Do you think he wants to be a champion? I mean, there may be some guys who are just out there getting the payday, who are living on the name.
I think he does. And he's an extreme competitor, man. I mean, you're talking about a guy that, didn't know anything coming into the sport of mixed martial arts, was a wrestler at Michigan State. Now it's a guy that's actually went out and actually done some things. And I think that he could actually be a champion if he really wanted to be. Now, do I think that he's going to go out and do the work? That's only to be seen.
To be determined, I guess.
Really
well,
is.
You've done some work. You're 22-11. I now sit at 19-14. We're going to be picking the UFC coming up on July 6th. We won't be picking them this week. It'll be next week. And boy, that's got a great fight in it. Silva, and you said Chris Weidman can do it.
I've said this for months.
I've
said
a long
this for
time.
Months, and I really will say this is, that is an interesting fight that someone can. And most people that are not the ordinary fans here are going to say, who's Chris Weidman?
Right.
I'll tell you who Chris Weidman is.
You will know.
Chris Weidman is a huge 185er. Chris Weidman is a great wrestler. And Chris Weidman is a great striker. So that's who Chris Weidman is. We'll see, man.
He'll make a name for himself.
He can make a name for himself on next Saturday night.
We're going to be talking more of that coming up in segment 4. You are watching 101sports.com. Chad Range, Jesse Finney, we are the Hit Squad. Coming up in our next segment, we're going to run down the uprising that was the 15th anniversary of Shamrock Fighting Championships Pro MMA here in St. Louis. That's coming up next on 101sports.com.